she wasn't just another pretty face on a magazine cover.
Such a beautiful girl.
And I just think she's ravishingly beautiful. And she has a face like a doll.
The Victoria's Secret supermodel who never really wanted to be famous.
I don't really think about, how I look. I just wake up and go out the way that.
The model with a camera in her hand, capturing the world instead of just being captured by it. Helena Christensen wasn't your typical supermodel. While others chased fame and fortune, she remained an enigma, a mystery the fashion world couldn't quite figure out. A Danish beauty with Peruvian roots, whose ethereal look and penetrating gaze commanded attention without ever asking for it. This is the story of Helena Christensen, the supermodel who refused to be defined by her beauty alone. Before the runways, before the fame, before she became one of the most recognizable faces of the 90s, Helena Christensen never dreamed of being a model. Born on December 25, 1968 in Copenhagen, Denmark, Helena grew up in a household that blended two distinct worlds. Her father was Danish, her mother Peruvian. This unique heritage gave her features that would later captivate the fashion world: high cheekbones, piercing green eyes, and olive skin that set her apart in an industry dominated by traditional European looks. But modeling wasn't her plan. In fact, Helena's childhood dreams were far more ordinary. "I wanted to be a musician," she once revealed. "I played piano and sang quite a bit." Her path to modeling began almost by accident. At 17, Helena entered the Miss Denmark pageant in 1986, mostly on a whim. She didn't just enter it, she won. And suddenly, this young woman from Copenhagen was representing her country at Miss Universe. But Helena wasn't interested in the pageant world. Her participation at Miss Universe was brief, a footnote in what would become an extraordinary career. Yet sometimes, not winning is the biggest win of all, because it was this pageant that opened the door to modeling. By the late 80s, Helena had signed with Wilhelmina Models and moved to Paris. The fashion world wasn't quite ready for her yet. Her look was different, distinctive, not the blonde bombshell type that dominated magazine covers. But that was about to change, because a new era was dawning in fashion, and Helena Christensen was about to become one of its defining faces. The early 90s didn't just change fashion, it transformed models from nameless clothes hangers into global superstars. And Helena Christensen was right at the center of it all. By 1990, she had become part of the elite group known as the Magnificent Seven, alongside Cindy Crawford, Naomi Campbell, Linda Evangelista, Christy Turlington, Claudia Schiffer, and Elle Macpherson. These weren't just models, they were supermodels. Women who commanded six-figure fees, whose names were as famous as the designers they modeled for. Helena's breakthrough came when she caught the eye of legendary photographers like Herb Ritts and Peter Lindbergh. Her face graced the covers of Vogue, Elle, Harper's Bazaar, and W designers fought to have her walk their runways: Chanel, Versace, Valentino, Prada. Her runway walk wasn't just a strut. It was confident, powerful, yet somehow effortless, like she just happened to be passing through. But it was one particular job that would cement Helena in pop culture forever. In 1991, photographer and director Herb Ritts cast her in the music video for Chris Isaak's Wicked Game. The black and white video, showing Helena and Isaac embracing on a beach, became one of the most iconic music videos of all time. Ritts, already famous for his fashion photography, captured a sensuality and raw emotion that transcended the typical music video. The chemistry between Helena and Isaac felt authentic, magnetic, a perfect visual representation of the song's haunting melody. Suddenly, Helena wasn't just a model. She was a fantasy, an image of desire that captured the world's imagination. Throughout the early 1990s, Helena continued to dominate the fashion world. She walked every major runway, from Paris to Milan to New York. She worked with Victoria's Secret, helping transform the brand from a mail-order catalog into a fashion phenomenon, although she wasn't formally designated as an angel, a title the brand would officially create years later in 1997. But while other supermodels seemed to revel in the attention, Helena remained somewhat distant from it all. as if she was merely passing through this world of glamour, keeping one foot firmly planted elsewhere. Because behind the cameras, behind the makeup and designer clothes, Helena Christensen had other passions, other dreams, and they would ultimately define her far more than any runway ever could. At the height of her modeling career, when most supermodels were launching perfumes or dating rock stars, Helena Christensen was doing something different. She was taking pictures, not posing for them, taking them. "Photography has always been a passion," she once said. "I started bringing a camera with me on my travels when I was modeling." What began as a hobby quickly evolved into genuine talent. By the mid-90s, Helena wasn't just booking modeling jobs. She was booking photography gigs. Her work appeared in Nylon, Marie Claire, and Elle. She didn't just take pretty pictures. Her photography had a raw, intimate quality that captured subjects in unguarded moments. The woman who had been photographed thousands of times knew exactly how to make others feel comfortable in front of her lens. But photography wasn't her only passion outside modeling. In 1997, Helena became involved with Nylon magazine, serving as both its creative director and a contributing photographer. The magazine, with its blend of fashion, music, and culture, perfectly matched Helena's multifaceted interests. It wasn't just about clothes or beauty. It was about a lifestyle, an attitude, a way of seeing the world that transcended traditional fashion boundaries. Helena's involvement with Nylon spoke volumes about her creative vision and business acumen. This wasn't just a model lending her name to a project. This was a woman helping shape a publication that would influence a generation. Her entrepreneurial spirit didn't stop there. In 2004, she opened a boutique in New York called Boutique, selling antiques, clothing, and home goods she discovered on her global travels. The shop reflected Helena's eclectic tastes, Scandinavian minimalism mixed with South American vibrancy, a physical manifestation of her dual heritage and worldly perspective. Each item told a story, had a history, a significance beyond mere aesthetics, just like Helena herself. And unlike many models who talk about acting but never quite make it, Helena secured meaningful roles, appearing in films like Allegro, 2005, and several independent productions. Her approach to acting mirrored her approach to modeling. Thoughtful, deliberate, never simply trading on her famous face, all while remaining one of the most in-demand models in the world. But perhaps most notably, Helena managed something few supermodels of her era achieved: a private life that remained largely private. In an era when supermodels' love lives filled tabloid pages, Helena Christensen somehow kept hers largely out of the spotlight. Yes, there was her famous relationship with INXS frontman Michael Hutchence in the early 90s. Their romance, which began after she starred in the band's Disappear video, was intense, passionate, and ultimately brief. After they split, Helena rarely spoke about their time together, even after Hutchence's tragic death in 1997. It's a silence that speaks volumes about her character. On October 13, 1999, Helena welcomed her only child, a son named Mingus Lucien Reedus, with actor Norman Reedus. Even after she and Reedus separated in 2003, they maintained a close friendship, co-parenting their son away from the public eye. "Being a mother is the most important thing in my life," she once said, keeping her son largely sheltered from the fashion world that made her famous. This wasn't a woman who courted fame. If anything, she seemed to carefully manage it. No reality TV shows, no tell-all books, no fashion lines with her name plastered across them, just a woman navigating an industry known for excess with remarkable restraint. She once said, "I've never been interested in being famous just for the sake of being famous." And yet, ironically, this reluctance only made her more intriguing. While her contemporaries shared every detail of their private lives, Helena remained an enigma. In interviews, she steered conversations toward her work, her photography, her activism, never her personal dramas. When asked about her romantic life after Reedus, she deflected with grace and humor, not because there was nothing to tell, but because she understood the value of keeping certain parts of herself private. In an industry built on exposure, Helena Christensen remained somewhat of a mystery. And as the supermodel era began to fade, as magazines replaced models with celebrities on their covers, Helena didn't disappear. She evolved. While many models of the 90s supermodel era faded from view as they entered their 30s and 40s, Helena Christensen never really went away. She just changed the terms of her engagement with the industry. In her 40s and 50s, when most models are considered past their prime, Helena continued booking major campaigns. In September 2017, nearly 30 years after she began modeling, she walked for Versace alongside her fellow 90s supermodels during Milan Fashion Week, proving that beauty doesn't have an expiration date. The moment was electric. Cindy, Naomi, Claudia, Helena, and Carla Bruni strutting down the runway to George Michael's Freedom 90, the very song that had soundtracked their rise to supermodel status decades earlier. It wasn't just a fashion show. It was a statement, a declaration that these women weren't relics of the past, but enduring icons whose beauty had only deepened with time. Helena has been refreshingly candid about aging in an industry obsessed with youth. "I've been modeling for over 30 years, and I'm probably more in demand now than I was in my 20s, she once remarked. Unlike many in her industry, she's embraced the changes that come with time. No dramatic plastic surgery. No desperate attempts to look 20 forever, just a woman comfortable in her skin, whatever age she happens to be. This authenticity extended to her body as well. In an era of impossible beauty standards, Helena has consistently celebrated her natural curves, refusing to bow to pressure to be impossibly thin. She's posed in swimwear in her 50s, showing women everywhere that confidence doesn't fade with age. Her Instagram doesn't use filters to erase every line. Instead, it showcases her life as it actually is, her photography, her travels, her family. There's a rawness to her social media presence that feels genuine in an age of carefully curated perfection. Posts about environmental issues sit alongside professional modeling shots and casual selfies. Images she's taken as a photographer get equal billing with images taken of her as a model. It's the complete picture of a woman who refuses to be reduced to just one aspect of her multifaceted life. Today, Helena balances multiple creative pursuits. She's a respected photographer with exhibitions in galleries around the world. She's designed clothing collections that reflect her personal style rather than chasing trends. She's become an environmental activist, working with organizations like Oxfam to raise awareness about climate change. And yes, she still models, selecting projects that interest her rather than trying to stay relevant at any cost. What makes Helena Christensen's career so remarkable isn't just its longevity. It's how she's consistently defied expectations. In an industry that often reduces women to their appearance, she insisted on being seen as a whole person: model, photographer, businesswoman, environmentalist, mother. She never allowed herself to be pigeonholed. When the fashion world expected her to simply be beautiful, she picked up a camera and showed she had an eye for beauty beyond her own. When aging threatened to make her obsolete, she simply redefined what a model in her 40s and 50s could be. Helena once said, "I've never really thought of myself as a supermodel. I've always just thought of modeling as a job that allowed me to see the world." And perhaps that's the key to her enduring appeal. While others got caught up in the fame, the parties, the lifestyle, Helena Christensen always seemed to be passing through, observing, capturing moments, and then moving on to whatever interested her next. In an industry often criticized for its superficiality, Helena brought depth. Her Danish-Peruvian heritage gave her not just a distinctive look, but a unique perspective: one foot in Europe, one in South America, a global outlook before globalization became fashionable. She leveraged her modeling success not to become more famous, but to open doors to her true passions. Photography wasn't a vanity project, but a genuine artistic pursuit, one she approached with humility and dedication. Her environmental activism wasn't performative, but deeply personal, rooted in a connection to nature that transcended trends. And perhaps most importantly, she showed that a woman's worth doesn't diminish with age. That beauty evolves rather than fades. That reinvention isn't just possible, but necessary. In doing so, she created a template for sustainability, not just environmental, but personal and professional, a way of navigating the fashion world without being consumed by it, of staying relevant without chasing relevance, of aging not just gracefully, but powerfully. She wasn't defined by being a supermodel. She defined what being a supermodel could mean. And in doing so, she created a legacy that extends far beyond any magazine cover or runway. This is Helena Christensen, the supermodel who refused to be just a face, the woman who chose to be behind the camera as much as in front of it, and the icon who proved that true beauty only gets more interesting with time.